Hi, celebrity. I'm Brian, one of the social workers here at the shelter.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. So I know that you've been here before,
Mm-hmm.
and you've met with some other people. Who did you meet with before when you were here?
I think her name was Jackie,
Okay.
like
That
a
was
couple
you.
of years ago. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you're familiar with how things work, but I'll just kind of give you kind of my spiel here, as they say. So again, I'm one of the social workers here, um, and my role is to really help all of the clients here, mainly figuring out kind of their housing situation, and trying to help them connect them to any sort of resources that are in the community. Um, and then if there are any kind of issues that you or anybody else brought to me, we could kind of problem solve those if you wanted to. So that's kind of my role here, and uh, and then kind of the second component that I'm sure you heard from Jackie
Mm-hmm.
is that that this session is confidential, and so meaning that it's between you and I, and I wouldn't be giving any information to anybody unless you signed a release that I could. Um, and then the only areas where I might have to tell people is if there was some sort of safety risk where you were maybe harming yourself or others, or if there was any kind of abuse going on at home. So those are kind of the slim areas where I would need to say something, but otherwise it's just you and I.
Okay, great.
Does that make sense, celebrity?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. How's today going so far for you?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Tired? Okay.
Yeah.
Were you able to sleep okay last night?
I don't know. I don't really get much sleep lately. I just don't sleep well. But
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it in here. I know you've got other things that you could be doing. So I guess I want to hear from you as far as what you want to get out of being with me and here at the shelter, and maybe some of the issues that you're dealing with. Would you care to share those with me?
yeah, sure. So I mean, basically, the reason why I'm here is because I really like. I don't know. I don't really want to stay in the shelter much longer, and I don't really like have a place to go, and I got to figure out like my issue, like my situation going back to Eduardo, or do I like stay here, or where do I go? I just like I don't know what to do. I don't know. Basically, like me and Eduardo, that's my boyfriend.
Okay.
He and I just like I don't know, like we have our fights, like every couple has their fights, and just they get kind of intense. And Eduardo is like a really good guy, but sometimes he just like kind of goes too far. And it like scares my kids. I think my kids are, with my mom right now. I think, well, she takes care of them sometimes. They came with me to the shelter, but like there wasn't enough room for them. And so like I'm stressed about that. And there's just like a lot going on. I'm feeling kind of ashamed about being here again. Like I've already been here and I don't want to have to deal with, no offense, but like extra people. I want to deal with it on my own, but like I don't know, my family the family that I do have, I mean, they just don't really support what I'm doing. So that's kind of been going on. But my main thing is I just want to like I think I just want to go back to Eduardo, like I don't really like at least he has a house that I can stay at and my kids can have like beds to sleep in. I don't want to be here anymore, So that's kind of my thing.
Frustrating.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
Well, that's a lot of stress that sounds like you're going through.
Yeah, it's like a lot of stress, but it's just like a lot of stuff that I want to get done, Like I want to be able to move on with my life. Like since I was little, like this has been going on and I just don't know what to do.
Well, I can even kind of feel the intensity of your situation just sitting here, hearing you talk about it, and kind of the expressions on your face and how you're saying it. It really shows that this is an area where you're struggling.
Yeah.
Would you say that's true?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I would love to be kind of a partner here to help you kind of work through some of these things. Sounds like just as far as what you said, it sounds like the biggest issue for you is some of the stress that you're dealing with at home, and maybe not having as much support from your family as you'd want, and then also wanting to get back and be independent and be back at home, and I want that for everybody here. I want I don't want people to have to stay here or to have to go somewhere else. We want you to go where you want to go. I think for me, a little bit of information from your intake here, and for me, the biggest thing would be your safety. I'd want to make sure, and I hope you would too, that you're safe wherever you are. Could you talk a little bit about your safety at home? We do have a little bit of a report here about some abuse at home, and could you maybe talk about that a little bit so we could kind of see if that's an okay place for you to go?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know how you guys are. Like, okay, so Eduardo, like I said before, he sometimes gets aggressive with me, and he did, make these marks on my face. He just, like, I don't know, I feel like I just need somebody in my life, and I'm afraid if I confront him about this, then I'm just, like, gonna have nowhere to go, and it's all about, it's all for my kids. Like, they're, like, the most important things in my life, and I want to make sure that they have a place to sleep, and they're not cold. It's winter now, and like Eduardo, he does get me stuff. He does buy me and the kids stuff, and there's always food on the table, but he does. I mean, he's never made a move on my kids, but he does. He is really aggressive with me, and the kids do see it. So that's a problem. I mean, but I'm used to that. Like, it's happened all my life.
And is that okay with you to have the security of food on the table and a roof over your head, with the trade-off being some abuse to you? Is that okay for you to live with? Is that something you've thought that maybe you want to change?
Well, I've lived with it my whole life, so it's kind of like I'm used to it. I mean, I've when I grew up, it was the same thing. I took care of my siblings, and there was stuff going on with my parents, and I just, that kind of, it's a part of life, it's a part of me, and I think that there's a balance.
Do you think, kind of looking at it in an ideal way, would you rather kind of experiencing home life without abuse? Would that be preferable to you? Or?
I mean, yeah, it'd be preferable, but it's not realistic, I mean, who are you going to find that's going to be, always okay and not, aggressive? I mean, like, that's all men. So, that's just how I think life is. And I think I know my mom and my siblings don't like it. Like, my sister, who I hang out with a lot, she doesn't like it at all. But I don't know where else to go.
Right. No.
I don't want to live here.
Right. Okay. Well, it sounds like you do have some supports for you. You mentioned your mom who has your kids right now. Is that true?
Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, my mom, she does want to, support me and help me out, but she's been dealing with depression ever since I was born. She doesn't, she's just gotten on medication, so she's just finally, kind of stabilized. So I'm a little scared to, like, leave my kids with her sometimes, because she, I don't know how stable she is. So I'm nervous about that.
And you also mentioned your sister. She's also a support for you?
Yeah, well, right at this moment, she's kind of pissed at me because of the whole Eduardo thing, and she thinks I shouldn't go back to him, but she doesn't understand, you know? So, she is a support, but she's mad at me.
Okay. Okay. And kind of looking kind of more at an extended family look, are there other people, sometimes there's aunts and uncles that are supportive, or cousins, and anybody come to mind that could be a resource for you?
No. I mean, it's pretty much my siblings and my mom. Like, my dad died when I was, a teenager. Um, so that, he's really not a part of my life. And he was always, I don't even want to talk about my dad. He was just horrible.
Okay.
But, like, my mom and my siblings, yeah, are pretty much it.
Okay. Well, it may not seem like a lot, but I think that's good that you do at least have the two of them.
Yeah.
And you said siblings, or is there maybe another sister, another brother out there?
Yeah, there's another sister, and then I have a bunch of other siblings that are out of state. I don't see them very often, but my other sister, she's pretty, I guess you could say, supportive as well.
Okay. Well, again, here for the session, I would, if it was an interest of yours, I'd like to kind of brainstorm with you some options, and it sounds like you've experienced abuse throughout your life,
Yeah.
and that's kind of been normalized for you. But you did state that you would prefer not to have that.
Right.
And so, if it'd be all right with you, I'd like to kind of brainstorm. Well, how can celebrity, not be at the shelter? How can she be in a home where she feels safe and where she's not getting harmed? And you said Eduardo hasn't touched the kids,
right?
But if he is touching you, it could be possible down the road. That he may touch your kids, and you said earlier that you really lit up when you talked about your kids and how important to you. I think I have their names. Is it Michael and Star?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're great kids, and I just want the best for them,
Mm-hmm. So something to keep in mind for your kids is that if they're kind of seeing some of that abuse and maybe have potential to be abused themselves, and that can be a rocky start for them, kind of setting them up for failure. And it sounds like you really want to set them up for success, right?
Yeah.
You want them to do great things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So would it be an interest of you to kind of brainstorm some sort of situation where you could be in a home where you have that independence and you have your basic needs, but that where you're not having that abuse over your head. I can think of a number of different ways we could go. If you want to hear those. Unless you maybe have some thoughts that have been coming up during this session of some alternatives.
Well, my biggest thing is I'm worried that, like, if I don't have Eduardo in my life, he's gonna find somebody else, and he's already kind of found other women, and but like who am I gonna have? I need a companion. I mean, my kids need a father figure. Like, who is that gonna be? That's a concern too, But I guess it is really important to make sure that they're safe first, and that's what I want first. So.
Well, so it sounds like that you do care about Eduardo.
Yeah, I do.
And you like having his support, but that there are times when he hurts you. Can you talk a little bit about when it is that those things happen? Are there certain situations where it's more likely that we could discuss?
Well, it happens a lot when Eduardo's like really, really jealous of any man, and a big issue is Michael's father is not Eduardo. It's actually this guy Alfonso, who he won't admit it, but it is his son. And like Alfonso isn't in Michael's life but he basically, comes around sometimes, and Eduardo gets really, really upset and takes it out on me. And, even when I tell him I'm not doing anything with Alfonso, he still doesn't listen to me. So that's like a big issue. And I've confronted Eduardo about, like, I've smelled perfume, I've, like, definitely had that, and he just, like, flips out on me, and,
Okay.
then the abuse starts. So.
Okay, so maybe the abuse kind of, the precursor is maybe some arguing, or you might challenge him about if he's been with other people or something.
Maybe, but it's more like he's jealous and he's just kind of out of control.
Okay. So do you see Alfonso much?
No, I mean, it's like once a month. But Eduardo, like, he probably beats me like once a week,
Okay. And how long does it go on? Is it, I mean, sometimes, I've talked to families and where it's, a couple of hits, or is it like, how long is this going on? Is this like...
Yeah, I mean, it starts with like the screaming and then the hitting. It's probably like, goes on for like an hour total, and then the kids, like, I try to get them away from what's going on as much as I can, but sometimes they see, so, and it's pretty embarrassing,
Yeah. So once a week, so that's, I meet with other clients here at the shelter, and, that's something that happens to other people too, so you're not alone in this.
Okay.
But, that's a lot, and I think sometimes every relationship has conflict, every relationship has disagreements, and, I think ultimately for you, if it would be an interest, that you would want to figure out how to have those conflicts without having any abuse happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us here in this session, I think it would be good for us to talk about maybe some time that you could spend maybe somewhere else. And then if you're interested, that I have a number of resources here where if Eduardo was interested to come in and talk, the three of us, that would be an option.
Yeah.
And just kind of discuss that maybe there's some things that he wants to change that would help with his anger.
Yeah, I could ask. But I really I want to find another place. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, so you did mention a couple of sisters, and you said one of them you were on rockier terms with right now.
Yeah, I mean, we still love each other. I'm sure if I call her, she'd be happy that I wasn't going with Eduardo.
So, as an option, if you were interested, we could set up for you to discharge to her place for a temporary time period, and then during that time period, if you were interested, either with me or with some of my colleagues, you could see if Eduardo would be interested in working on this. What sort of change would you want to see from Eduardo so that it would be okay for you to be with him? What are you looking for?
I mean, just to be
him?
more faithful.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a big issue. I'm not sure if he is, and to not be so jealous, and not beat me in front of the kids. That's just like not okay,
So if you worked with him and myself or another therapist, and if he kind of came to some resolution on those issues, do you think you'd want to try? You could maybe try living together again.
Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately what I want to do. So yeah.
Okay. And if by chance, if he wasn't able to come to those conclusions, would you still want to move back, or do you think maybe that would make you not want to go back if he couldn't commit to those things?
I mean, we'll just have to see.
Okay.
I don't know where I'll I can't live with my sister forever.
Right.
So I'll just have to see.
Yeah. And there are resources in the community here. I know you said that you wanted to learn a little bit about those.
Yeah.
The companion sounds like a big thing for you, having somebody there. But if you needed to get other support, are there ways that you're getting supported besides Eduardo? Are you working, or do you get income from anything?
No, not at this moment. You know, I did have a job and I was working a little bit, but I just not right now.
Would you like to gain some more independence, like with finances and stuff? Maybe so you're not so dependent on somebody else?
I don't know. I've never really done that before.
Well, that's something that we could work on too. You know, we could meet again on Monday and discuss those things further. But there's a lot of resources in the city as far as employability classes, and we actually have some pretty strong connections with some of the employers in the area. Are there any interests that you've had, or as far as employment, or areas that you have worked in the past?
I worked at like in retail, just for a little bit. Just when I was younger, I worked to take care of my siblings because my parents weren't there for them. But anything that would give me money. But also, I need to take care of my kids,
right.
And like I don't want to work and then not be able to be there for them. And I don't trust. Man, those daycare places these days, like I've heard too much about them. I do not want them in daycare.
Okay. Well, in that case, maybe utilizing some of the resources you have, like your family. You know, if you were to go to a shift at a retail place, you could possibly drop them off with one of your siblings or your mother.
Yeah.
And then
that would be good.
And then they'd be, with family. And is that important to you to utilize family and sounds like trust is.
Yeah, that would be important.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I think just as far as the session here, it sounds like you've come in with a lot of stress and kind of some uncertainty about your situation, and on the one hand, wanting to have a companion and to be supported. But on the other hand, ultimately wanting to be safe and wanting your kids to be safe. And I think you were able to come up with some great ideas about utilizing family, and you talked about some of your skills in employment, like retail. So those are some of the things that we can kind of discuss further on Monday. Maybe something we could do in the meantime is connecting. If you wanted to give me information of your sister, we could call and there's just some logistical things that I'd want to talk to her about.
Yeah, that would be great.
And maybe even having her come in would be great.
Yeah.
Does that sound like an interest to you?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty much all I have for the moment. Were there other things that were concerns or that we didn't get to yet?
No, I think this is good. I like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, Celebrity, and I'm glad that you're able to problem solve some of these tricky situations. But it sounds like you do have a lot of supports, and you've got these great kids that you want to take care of. So how about I see you again on Monday, same time?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.